I am Luwalhati Angeles from the Philippines. I am currently a teacher at San Pablo City Science High School, and I am a fellow at San Pablo Colleges, a local college, taking up Doctorate of Education. So my study level up status and challenges on the use of the 2C, 2I, 1R teaching approaches in a secondary school um, comes from the background of this study comes from the fact that the Philippines just started the K-12 in 2013. So with this change, up until from 2013 up until this time, we are still experiencing the transition change, or the transition stage rather, in the Philippines on the educational system. So right now, teachers are struggling with their approaches and with how they are going to use the K to 12 curriculum, because it's really different from the first curriculum that we had, the basic education curriculum. So with the changes, we are required to have innovations in our teaching approaches. So this is one of the problems that we are having. So it's not only in the Philippines, also in other places, such as based on the studies of Leiser and McBeath, they said that there are changes when a country changes the curriculum. Teachers always have they go through a phase where they have problems. However, 5 years for the Philippines, I think, is too much. I think it's already a long time for a transition change, because we have to keep up with the educational system. We have to improve the educational system so the students won't have to suffer. Because if we have to stay in that transition stage for long, it's the students who will suffer with a low quality of education. So this study aimed to answer the following research questions. What of the 5 teaching approaches do the respondents use? How many times in a month do the respondents use the 5 teaching approaches? What are the challenges encountered by the teachers on the use of the 2C, 2I, 1R teaching approaches? And what are the perceptions of the teachers on using the 2C, 2I, 1R teaching approaches based on the student's competence, demand in preparation, teachers' training, time constraints, equipment, and management of large classes. Now, for your sorry, I was not able to give you the 2C, 2I, 1R meaning. So it's collaborative, constructivism, integrative, inquiry-based, and reflective teaching approach. So those are the 5 teaching approaches that the Department of Education is pushing the teachers to use, so that we will be able to use the K-12 curriculum at its maximum, or at its best. Now, the significance of the study is, of course, for the teachers to improve their classroom, in the classroom itself, their teaching. And of course, the school heads and the curriculum supervisors to give the teachers proper loading, to be able to give the proper schedule of classes, because we're still stuck with the old schedule of classes where we have 1 hour for each class every day, etc. We have to start at 7 in the morning, we have to end at almost 5 in the afternoon, and with only a few minutes of break in between. So the students are really overloaded. For the Department of Education itself, they have to improve so that they will be able to give us policies so that the teachers will be able to improve their teaching. And then, of course, for the learners, so that the quality of education will improve. Now, for the methodology, um, I was able to ask 27 junior high school teachers from our school, San Pablo City Science High School. And now, we did not really have to look into the position or the years of service, because it does not have any bearing with the study itself. So that was already delimited in the study. Now, also in the methodology, it's a mixed quantitative and qualitative research. So I was able to use the scale, the Likert scale, wherein they have to answer whether they strongly disagree, agree, or strongly agree on a certain question. And then I also asked them an open-ended question, or open-ended questionnaire, so that they will be able to give me their honest answers, because I did not want them to be relying on what I think they had problems on. they have to give me the problems. If I only give them like 5 problems, they will not be able to give more than that. That's one of the cultures of Filipinos. If you ask them if they still know that they have other problems, even if you include it in the questionnaire, others, they would not really write more. They would just answer what you ask them to answer. So, as a result, for the 5 teaching approaches, such as like what I said earlier, the cooperative learning, inquiry-based, reflective, and constructivist and integrative approach, all of the teachers actually use them. But they actually like the cooperative learning. Why? Because this is the grouping. Teachers love how to ask their students to group into 5, or divide the class into 2, divide it into 3, etc. So that's the most used, the cooperative learning or the collaborative learning. Then the inquiry-based, where they have to ask questions, they have to discover. So this is usually used in science and math. And then the reflective approach, because usually in the and then constructivist approach, and then last used is the integrative approach, because teachers are having a hard time on pairing up with other subjects. For example, if I teach English, I am really having a difficult time on looking for another teacher who will be able to, where I can get a topic from. It's not, I myself, honestly, I can do that. But for other teachers, they can't really ask a science teacher for your topic, so I can integrate it. So that's the least used. But still, all of these approaches are used by the teachers. Another result are the challenges. Now, for the challenges in cooperative learning, one problem is there are many independent learners in the Philippines. So students would rather do a project on their own instead of grouping or pairing. Then once we have a presence of leader, the other students won't work. So that's a problem in collaborative or cooperative learning. And then for the inquiry-based teaching, they find that teachers have problems constructing the higher order thinking skills questions. It takes time for the teachers to do that. So that's the main problem for the IBT or the inquiry based. And then they have a problem with, for the reflective approach, students get to reflect so long. They cannot reflect in like 5 minutes or 15 minutes. They have to reflect on a one whole hour, and that means one whole session already for a day. So teachers really do not tend to give them a reflective approach at times, especially if they lack time. For the constructivist approach, the main problem here is that students forget previous topics. It's again, we boil down to the culture. Um, Filipinos always tend to just focus on what we have right now. We don't really appreciate, or we don't see that what we are learning right now is something that we learned before, and that is the K to 12. It's spiraling, right? So what I learned from from kindergarten, is just a level up on grade 1, and then it will level up to grade 2. So we don't see it that way. That's another thing that we have to change. That's why I was inspired with this study. And then the last one, the integrative approach, again, just like what I said earlier, is that they cannot find a partner to get the integration from. Now, from all of these approaches, they all commonly have a few problems. First is the preparation. So teachers are really having a hard time preparing for these, because if you use all of these approaches, you have to really prepare a new one for each day, and a new one for another school year. Unlike before, what I taught in 2001, I can still teach in 2009. That was our previous curriculum. Another one is participation. Students are really having a hard time participating in the new setting in the classroom. And then time management, because teachers are given 6 subjects for each school year to teach. Yes, and that means six subjects for one day, 6 hours to teach. That's the teaching time. So what more? That means you have to prepare, before that. And that does not mean the 6 subjects or 6 classes would mean one subject only. It could mean 2 to 3 different subjects. And it could vary from English to PE or physical education, and then to values education. Now, um, the results for the perception show that they all agree. So at points they strongly agree on we have 6 factors here. The students have different levels of competence. Inquiry-based teaching or any approach demand more time. Teachers lack training on the strategy, time constraints to cover the topics, lack of equipment to use in any approach. Management of large classes is difficult when they use any of these approaches. Now, as you can see, for inquiry-based, they have one strongly agree, and then the rest, they all agree. And then for collaborative, it's the same thing. Reflective, they all agree on these 6 factors. For constructivist, they strongly agree again on the first factor. And then for the integrative approach, they agree on all factors. Now, basically, what these results say is that there is really the teachers are really having a struggle with the K to 12 curriculum. And now, as a conclusion, it is only seen that the teachers are really having a hard time coping up with this change. But as teachers, they have to, of course, we have to go with this. We have to fight that struggle because we are teachers. We have to be more resilient for that. The use of the teaching approaches should be actually it's eminent. We have to use it. The teachers are still trying to say we're going back to that part. No, we're going back to the usual, the old curriculum. But no, we have to go forward. And then the teachers will really have to make innovations and interventions for this. Now, teachers should be given a lower number or a fewer number of loads because 6 subjects for a day is really too much. Plus the checking, the assessment, and then the preparation, and then talking with other teachers, and having a life, basically, because it's too much. Now, that's it for my study.